Good morning, sports fans. The FS Five Pack, Matt and Ryan here. We're going to run through a quick members only type of video for everybody today for the early slate, and then we'll hit you with some regular stuff for the night baseball, even though that's a small one as well.
Yeah, 2 4-gamers, always nice.
Keep it tight today. No real NBA to talk about because it's just a one gamer over there. Before we get into a few other things, guys, just shout out to our good boys over at Drafters. Whew. Welcome aboard, Mike Sims, getting part of our big-time player pool we got going. I felt really good about my lineup yesterday. I was checking scores while I was busy some other things. My boy Trey Mancini went off. Gosman was amazing. I thought I had this thing wrapped. I come home and I hop on to see Papa Steve not only won, but kind of beat me by a lot. So, I mean, he rolled yesterday. Nice lineup, Stephen Casey. If you want your name mentioned on the show, come play with us over at Drafters, and maybe you can get famous. I'm putting the air quotes up there like Stephen Casey over here.
Yeah, seriously, great job. His team absolutely smashed.
Smashed.
Yeah, had a bunch of guys. Well, a Rosarania was huge for him.
Yeah, well, and the no hitter from your old boy Kluber. I wonder who's going to go through a no hitter today since they seem to happen daily now.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Memberships up at the website. The link is below. Monthly and weekly get both sports. We're approaching the real portion of the NBA playoffs here any day now, but let's talk about today's slate. Oh, one weather thing of note is that Chicago, you guys all know about Wrigley Field, right? Like when it's warm and the wind's blowing out, it's a real nice hitter's park. The wind's blowing out to left today, 15, 20 miles an hour, and it's hot out.
Gotta love that.
If you like the bats, right? Yeah, no doubt about it. You're going to like that. All right, man. We talked real briefly this morning. You said you didn't have any super strong feelings on pitching. I mean, my gut instinct when I woke up was Rich Hill and Domingo Germán, but it's not like, again, these guys aren't Jacob deGrom. It's not like I feel amazing about either of them. Have you come around on anybody or still really not loving any of it?
The honest truth is I really just don't love any of the pitchers on this slate. I mean,
which is an honest answer.
Yeah, like I definitely get Rich Hill and Germán. Those are two guys that stood out to me. I think that those two guys and then Cueto. I'm a longtime Cueto fan. So on slates like this where like I don't really like anyone, I kind of fall back to, a guy that's I've used to a ton of success throughout my life. I mean, I don't love anyone on this slate. And to be honest, I could see any of the pitchers, Germán and Hill including, getting hit here.
Sure. I don't think that's impossible. I looked at Cueto for a while this morning. I also have Cincinnati as like a sleeper stack today, but not probably where I would end up because I do like the chalk offenses. So I think it would be a cash game day for me. I was trying to make cases for like teams that wouldn't get a lot of love. And I was thinking Cincy, nice hitters ballpark. They got power and stuff like that. Also thinking about the Yankees a little bit. But I do like the chalk offenses today, so I don't really want to get different with them because I don't like either of them enough to go there. I like the offense in the Chicago-Washington game, and I like Tampa, who's red hot and facing Dean Kremer.
Yeah, I get that. I like them too. I also do like the Yankees, probably more than most. I'm stubborn. I've been on them. They haven't been great.
Whoa.
You're stubborn? I am stubborn. Yes. And listen, I mean, they got a ton of upside. They're not going to be high owned at all because, like you mentioned, the Rays and both offenses in the Cubs Nationals game, are going to get love. And yeah, I mean, the Reds kind of fit in with the Giants and the Yankees. I prefer the Yankees out of them because I just think they're better.
Fair enough. I mean, I have no arguments with that. At the end of the year, I think the Yankees are better than the Reds too. So, their lineup's a bit watered down right now, but they're still the Yankees and the other team is still the Reds.
Yeah, what do you make of Malley right now?
So I think like if I had to rank the order of pitchers on this slate to make my lineup, Germán would be one. He's been wildly consistent. He's a little bit cheaper. He may not have the upside of Rich Hill or Tyler Malley, but pretty close to it. And I like the consistency. We've talked about Texas. They're not a great offense or anything like that. He'd be my one. I think Rich Hill's my two, Malley's my three. But it's all really close, as you kind of alluded to. None of these guys are going to make you feel great about a roster.
Mm-mm. Not even a little bit.
So for me, like Germán and so the Giants' offense isn't great, but I just think as a team, the Giants are so much better than Baltimore or Texas that like I just give them credit more on a daily basis.
I get that. I have no arguments with that. Malley really hasn't.
It's been unimpressive lately.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He hasn't impressed me lately. So, yeah, that's probably just a stay away spot. I do think that Mally's likely to get more love than the Giants. I'd say that. So
For sure. Mally's coming in, I think, is the second chalkiest pitcher, isn't
yeah,
he, after Herman?
only because like he's the most expensive pitcher and salary isn't really an issue. So people will just always gravitate there. He's averaging by far the most DK points per game, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't hate a couple of Giants bats. I think they're in the same vein, like I mentioned, as the Orioles, the Rangers, as like lower stacks on the slate that aren't going to get any love.
He may not make the lineup again today, but Brandon Belt's got a couple career bombs off Mally, who's struggled with lefty power in his career. Even if you're just doing it as a one-off, if he made the lineup, I'd be fine with that because he's not going to get any love today.
For sure. Yeah, definitely like a wide open slate for a 4-game early one.
Yeah, I really want to be different and play a GPP during the day slate. I just don't like any of the different spots enough to do it. So just from like an overall, I guess, DFS tip, and we've talked about this at length this year, there's being different, and then there's being different to be different. If you don't like it, don't put your money on something that you don't like just because you don't want to be chalky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to use the chalky offenses on this slate. I think I think you're right, but I also think part of it is also, feeling comfortable with being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And a lot of that MLB breaks down like that.
I know for you, like on days when you feel that way, you just don't play for as much. In days you really like fading the chalk and you got a sleeper stack that you're big on, those are the days you go more aggressive. I know that's some people, they have trouble going with that theory, but it's just kind of picking your spots. And if you never played cash games like you and you didn't have anything you like, it's okay to just play lighter for that slate. Guess what? There's another one tonight. There's another one tomorrow.
For sure. No doubt about it.
So gun to head, I'm Herman and Rich Hill, but not with major conviction.
Yeah, I get it. Man, I'm not sure as of right now, but probably Cueto would find his way in there.
Okay.
The pitching options on this slate are awful, so I think the lower owned ones are just the way to go personally.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue that point at all. Offensively, Tampa will get plenty of love. They've blown up multiple days in a row. They're going against the lowest priced pitcher. And most importantly, they're very, very affordable. If you just look at the first base, I think any first baseman that's not G-Man Choi or Yande Diaz, knowing that Choi will probably get more love than Diaz just because he's red hot and he's ahead of him in the batting order. I think these two guys probably eat up the majority of the first base love, right?
I would imagine so. Man,
especially if Rizzo doesn't make the lineup.
Yeah, this reminds me of a couple nights ago, honestly. But I like the fade even more because there's 4 games today. I think Tampa comes in so chalky. Like, if you use one of the other teams, you just need them. You don't need them to beat 15 other teams. You just need Tampa to be okay. And Tampa's been okay a lot this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think anything that's not Tampa, Washington, Chicago is very contrarian. Those 3 teams get all the love, and everything outside of that should be very low owned. So I know for you, it would be the Yankees. They're definitely the one I would consider. I just don't like them enough to be like, hey, this is the day I'm going to add money in my DK account and go balls deep on it.
I get it.
Other guys from Tampa, you could just assume Meadows will be wildly popular or Rosarino will get some love. I just think Meadows, G-Man Choi, like those 2 guys could legitimately be the 2 most popular hitters on the slate.
I agree.
As far as Washington, Chicago, we don't have their lineups yet. Trevor Williams is, not great. Joe Ross is not great. We got big winds blowing out. I'm sure Schwarber's going to get love. Jock Peterson is going to get some love. And, of course, Trey Turner is probably him and Soto, like the top pound-for-pound bats on the slate.
Yeah, you got to imagine like those guys and are going to be paired with the Tampa guys.
I would think so. So I think one move to be a little bit different. People love Trey Turner, and they've really, Javier Baez has lost a lot of luster. So if you're just looking to be different on today's slate, I think like a pivot to Baez over Turner. I'm sure Turner's probably double his ownership 3 times.
I'm not sure. I wasn't going to say that much, but honestly, I'm not sure because I think the Cubs are also popular here.
Oh yeah, this whole game should be.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they're both popular. Turner is higher owned. I'm not sure how much.
Okay. Chris Bryant, again, early on, didn't look like he was getting an abundance of love. Maybe because there's a righty on the mound, maybe because he's expensive. Just worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
He'll still get love. Don't get me wrong. He's not coming in 1%. I'm just saying 15, 20 as opposed to 50 or 60.
Agreed.
Rizzo's still questionable. Watch and learn, see what happens there. Although, you know what? Josh Bell will get some first base love too.
For sure. And to your Turner point, I mean, right now, yeah, Turner's coming in with like 40% projections. Javier Baez 15. So if it's anything like that, give me Baez. I'm not sure it will be, but won't be surprised if it is at all.
Yeah, money's not going to be a major factor. And
True.
Trey Turner's such a popular play, right?
Yeah, and that's the point I wasn't even thinking about. Money's not a factor at all. There's no expensive pitchers.
And Trey Turner's the better play on paper. If you had to make this bet and there was no odds and there was no salary associated with it, I think almost everybody would bet on Trey Turner.
For sure.
So, outside of these three pretty obvious games, we can't speak exactly on these two teams because they haven't announced their lineups yet. Tampa's going to be crazy popular. You a little more than me, but we both kind of like New York as the sleeper stack.
Also, I think Texas is in play, like especially with Herman coming in so popular. Like it's a day slate. I mean, 4 games. I could definitely get on board with a Texas stack today and Baltimore as well. I mean, Hill and Herman, I think, are going to be so popular, and it's like these guys can get hit on any given day.
All right, Torres came back yesterday
Mm-hmm.
for the Yankees, so that's worth noting. He'd been out for a little while. Couple of hits and a walk. That's encouraging. They are really beat up with no Stanton, Hicks, Frazier, Lamar day to day. So we don't know exactly what their lineup would be, but you should feel pretty good that you're going to see Luke Voigt. Odor's out again. DJ LeMahieu, Urshela, Torres.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I also don't think Dane Dunning is crazy. It's one of those type of slates.
I agree. I mean, it's hard to get super excited about going up against the Yankees, but as we've mentioned a few times, it's a watered down Yankees team.
Yeah, Houston really made him work. Obviously, he was not good. I mean, Houston did what Houston does. This Yankees lineup is a much easier spot than Houston.
Yeah, he should be able to cruise through the bottom portion of the lineup, you would think. The biggest deterrent on him is they don't typically let him go too deep into the game, but maybe he's just been getting into trouble at the wrong times. And you saw him throw 8.
I think your point is true. They won't let him go too deep into games. Like, I think he's about unless he's pitching really well, around 80 pitches.
Yeah, he dropped 89 against Seattle, so in the right scenario, maybe.
Sure. I mean, yeah, if he's pitching like that, I don't think they're going to pull him, but I think they're very hesitant to have him go 3 times through the order.
Yeah, I understand that. Then that's not untypical for young pitchers. He does have a nice set of specs on him, so he looks a little bit like Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn.
Yeah, a little bit, and he's got good stuff. I mean, we remember him last year for the White Sox. Like, he was good. Again, I mentioned I like the Yankees a little bit because I think they're going to be under-owned, but I don't think they're a must, and I think Dunning is another way to get different. The Yankees lineup is just not good right now. That said, I like Torres a lot. He had good at-bats. Hoping Sanchez makes the lineup, but that's a big one right now. I mean, he's not like a great hitter, but he has a lot of power, and without him, you just have like a normal catcher in there, already missing a bunch of guys. Yeah, their lineup's very much watered down.
And a guy like Torres won't get a lot of buyers today because, I mean, for me, like Trey Turner is going to be huge owned in cash and very high owned still in GPP. So all shortstops get very little love.
Yeah, well, I think just the point that you don't need the salary. If there was like DeGrom and Scherzer on the slate, I think that Torres would be very popular at 3,500.
Yeah, so that's worth noting.
And then you mentioned it at the beginning of the show. What about your boy Mancini?
Sure. I mean, I'm throwing Rich Hill, so I probably won't go with Trey Mancini today, but you can play him against him. And if you're not playing with Trey Hill, Mancini was a beast last night and has been, mostly good at bats over the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, him and Arozarena just absolutely cleaned up.
Yeah, that was couple of big games for the two of them. Not quite Corey Kluber big, but I mean, these no-hitters this year, this is insane, isn't it?
How about that? The Indians, Mariners, and Rangers have all been no-hit twice.
I did not realize it was 3 teams twice. I knew the Mariners had a couple. I didn't realize it was the other teams.
Pathetic. I mean, it definitely makes it like the appeal of the no-hitter go down dramatically.
Yeah, so far this season, I mean, batting average. I was actually talking to a guy last night, and he blames it entirely on the fact that everybody just tries to hit home runs now. And I'm like, that's a big part of it, but it feels like there's something else in play this year as well.
Yeah, they talk about like the ball being, the ball, like changing the ball. And I do think a lot of it is like, they talk about these 3 true outcomes, strikeout, walk, and hitting a home run. The game has definitely changed. I don't know what what accounts for it all. I don't think there's one thing,
Yeah, I'm still wondering like when we start seeing it going back to a little bit more small ball. I've been saying for years, you've heard me whine about this on the show multiple times, like for a guy you take whatever, big slugger you want that gets like a major shift put on him. If you would just learn to, for a big lefty to bunt down the left field line, you could hit 500, or more realistically, they'll just stop shifting on you.
For sure.
I don't get why more people don't do it. It's just like, it seems like if you could just bunt, you could get on base 50% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually heard players talk about that, and like, I can't remember exactly who and what they said, but like, it's not optimal for them. Like they would rather, go 1 for 3 with a home run than, 3 for 3 with 3 singles.
That's cool if you're Mike Trout. Oh, did you happen to come across, I'm going to send it to you when we're done, but I saw this thing. You were probably already asleep because it was later last night, but I wanted to send it to you. He goes, well, how come every time I read an Angels lineup, it'll say something along the lines of Mike Trout went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs and raised his batting average to 585. Meanwhile, Ohtani did something that hasn't been done since 1921 when some random one-arm guy, made this stat line. Meanwhile, the Angels lost 9-4 to Detroit.
Yeah, I did see that. I think that was a couple nights ago, and it's been circulated. So I know what you're talking about. Yes, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I laughed out loud at that one. That was pretty good. Okay. To let you guys get on to making your lineups. Again, I've already stated my point. I'm Rich Hill, Herman. Sounds like you're Cueto and probably who else? If you gunned ahead, you had to make one lineup.
Man, you know what? I talked kind of bad on him, but especially because I'm using Cueto, I think if I'm making one line, it might be Cueto Molly.
Okay. And then that goes back to the point that
you got to use 2 pitchers is the point. Like, I could talk bad about every pitcher on this slate. I like Herman. I don't like him as big chalk. I like Molly a little bit. I don't like him as chalk. No matter who I use, I'm not going to feel great about.
Yeah, I could make a case for stacking against or using basically every pitcher on the slate if you ask me to.
Agreed. Like, in cash games, no. The obvious build is, Tampa, Washington, Cubs. I think that 2 of Malley, Cueto, or no, Malley, Herman, and Hill. Like, exactly what you have. In tournaments, you can make a case for any and everything on the slate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. Once again, chalk offenses, Tampa Bay, Washington, Chicago. Going to eat up all the ownership. Sounds like we're kind of in agreement that if we were to play one sleeper stack, it would be the Yankees. And I know a lot of times you like to talk about the bottom of the order, but I'm willing to bet for you, if you're playing the Yankees today, you're playing the good players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you even need to get to the bottom of the order. I mean, especially if you're making like one lineup, no.
Right, and like the bottom of the order is just not very good right now either. So, I mean, where's the upside coming from?
I mean, if I'm I will say this: if I'm stacking the Yankees, I will use some of the bottom of the lineup because I always do.
But not the full wraparound 6 through 9 or anything like that. Very likely.
Why not?
I don't know. For all the reasons you were ragging on them the other day, they're not very good baseball players.
They're not, but that's baseball DFS. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, if you like the stack, you use the stack because they're in a good spot.
So you do think you'll stack the bottom of the order today?
If I use the Yankees, I will. I'm not sure I'm going to use the Yankees, but if I do, I will. Yeah, especially because no one will do it. Anyone who uses the Yankees won't use the bottom of the lineup.
All righty.
You got to be willing to, again, be comfortable with being uncomfortable in MLB DFS, in my opinion. You're not going to love all your plays, but if you want to get to the top of tournaments, you have to be willing to play those guys.
Who do you think is the bottom of the order today? So you'll have Voit in the 2-hole, LeMahieu leading off, Urshela cleanup 5, Torres, Judge. It's probably Andahar, Gardner.
Yeah, Andahar was awful last night, so I was 100% wrong on that. I would say Andahar, Gardner, probably Tyler Wade, who's actually had a bunch of good at-bats recently. Tyler Wade had the biggest hit for them last night. So, yeah, these guys are not great baseball players by any means. But, again, I don't know. I mean, like a couple nights ago when I had good success on a late slate, the Tigers had 3 catchers in their lineup. So, everyone who used the Tigers used Wilson Ramos hitting 6th. But in one of my lineups, I used Eric Haas, who was hitting 8th, and he hit 2 home runs. So, like, that type of stuff happens in baseball. And that's just, like, I've gotten used to it. You got to, I don't know. I barely even, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I gotcha. All right. Well, that'll do it for today, guys. And we will see you for some evening baseball in a little while. Best of luck to everybody today. Don't forget, the link to the website is below. Weekly, monthly memberships available right there. Sign up to play Drafters. Promo code is DFS5pack. And if you want to get in these drafts with us, just, you can friend request us. You can see my name right here. You can just send me a message if you got any questions, and we'll be sure to be doing more of these.
We actually should see if we could do one in like an hour so we could get all the games in.
I don't hate that point at all. If you guys want to play, let us know.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.